Tired, angry, stuck. These aren't just the qualities to describe the person you see in the mirror. They also apply to the most depressing cephalopod of all time, Squidward Tentacles. He hates his life, yet it seems like the only thing he's willing to do is continue hating it. Then there's the other guy, energetic, happy, successful. These sound like traits of your ideal self, but these are also SpongeBob's traits, even though it seems like he's received more lobotomies than Jeffrey Dahmer's ever given. Using SpongeBob and Squidward, I want to show what identities people, yes, people like you, end up choosing between. And which is the best choice? Squidward, SpongeBob, or some secret third option? Well, let's dive into an analysis of these characters right now. To understand our characters a little more, you need to know that Squidward is a professional full-time hater. He hates everybody and everything, but that doesn't mean he's completely alienated from us. His tendencies actually make him more relatable than not. You might find yourself agreeing with a lot of what I'm about to say. When I go to work like Squidward, I don't want to deal with unnecessary bullshit. When I leave, like Squidward, I want to go home and delve straight into my niche interests. When I go to sleep, like Squidward, I want to get a full night's rest. And as I get older, the more I understand and empathize with Squidward, and I think everyone does eventually too. Squidward has worked at the Krusty Krab for over 30 years, and oh my fuck. For a guy who hates his job, how has he bagged it for that long? Well, it's simple. He doesn't believe he's going anywhere. He does just enough to get by. That's where our relatability with this character becomes a problem. He isn't really even working towards anything in life. We see a couple of characters in the show similar to him caught up in the wake up, work, sleep cycle, and it seems like any hint of drive they once had in the past has been gone for a long time. But Squidward is special in this respect, because we actually see shadows of what's driven him. Sure, the only things left to prove he was once a dreamer are his paintings and a clarinet he doesn't know how to play, but they're still there. He represents the person who gave up on their dreams, but still remembers them. And then there's SpongeBob. Tom Kenny called him autistic, Nickelodeon alluded that he's gay, but let's just forget the labels. SpongeBob is a wholly, entirely unique go-getter. With a nose that erect, how can you call him anything but ready? He's worked at the Krusty Krab roughly the same amount of time as Squidward, but he loves each and every shift. His best friend is brainless, his pet is smarter than him, and his boss once sold him for 62 cents to the devil. But he still acts like he's living in paradise. But if you're older, you probably aren't finding his character as relatable as you once did. I'm not just saying his modern representations are hard to relate to, but also his peak form. In seasons 1 through 3, the golden years, he was noticeably smarter and less, animated. But the core of his character has largely remained the same. He brings to the table a sort of naive yet invincible joy that you can scarcely see from any other character in the show. Patrick, the only other character most similar to him, even considering his blissful childlike ignorance, falls short of the unique standard of SpongeBob simply because his happiness comes from his lack of self-awareness. In the episode Patrick Smartpants, we see how he'd act if his stupidity was taken away. He'd be miserable. He doesn't have any ambitions or desires. He just can't conceive of any wants more impactful than his immediate urges. SpongeBob is completely different. He still presents as a nincompoop, don't get me wrong, but he has enough self-awareness to have established wants, like practicing karate, going jellyfishing, and working at the Krusty Krab. Yet all of his wants fall in line with what he's currently doing in life. The joy rarely wavers from situation to situation. Unlike Squidward, SpongeBob still maintains that same level of enthusiasm when trying to connect with Squidward or retake his boating exam time after time. Hell, there was an entire episode of him and Patrick entertaining themselves with an empty box, and he was having a grand old time doing basically nothing. SpongeBob, however annoying he might be, is only so due to how incessantly happy, fulfilled, and unashamedly himself he is. At times, his enjoyment and perspective of the world is so infectious, even Squidward gets in on the fun. Or he tries to. Squidward ends up falling short at most of his attempts to emulate what SpongeBob effortlessly exudes. And when his imitations seem to finally gain substance, when his attempts actually succeed, it's almost as if the world itself punishes him for his idealistic antics, as if he's not allowed to experience that joy. I'm sure you felt this way a time or two before, that you're punished for your earnest effort while others seem to breeze on by happy and unaffected. But interestingly enough, SpongeBob experiences his share of failure too. Not as bad as Squidward literally exploding every so often for no reason, but SpongeBob has a lot of reasons to be upset at his failings. He's gone through so many. He ripped his pants in public. He was once a fake gym bro. He once spent a whole movie being infantilized. He failed his driving test hundreds of times. Again, he was sold to the show's interpretation of the devil for literally 62 cents. He's also probably not getting paid a livable wage, and the entire town goes on holiday once a year just to avoid him, including his best friend. But he still chooses to focus on the good in his life. He chooses gratitude religiously instead of choosing to lament or to envy. He's not thinking of how to optimize his experience of life through some arbitrated metacognitive analysis. He simply experiences it. Squidward solely focuses on what he should have instead of what he currently possesses. On what he perceives will gain respect from his peers like Squilliam. He focuses on that orgasmic aftermath of effort and dedication. And in that wanting of that perfect performance, a perfect presentable lifestyle, he's alienated himself from the experience of such a lifestyle, of the very effort that makes it possible. He's so deluded in his egotistical outlook on life that instead of improving himself, of accepting criticism and the reality of his current situation, he instead externalizes and vilifies that which doesn't align with his worldview. Instead of perfecting his skills with the clarinet, he alternatively is content to simply state that everyone is a critic. Instead of maintaining pride in who he is and what he has accomplished, he's embarrassed of his circumstances when forced to compare his with Squilliam's. Even his art is self-congratulatory, most, if not all, being self-portraits. And ironically, he doesn't really understand himself despite that self-obsession. But like I said before, there are times when he deigns to emulate that spark that SpongeBob exudes. And SpongeBob mirrors that inclination by sometimes embodying a part of Squidward too. Both, when put together, represent something invaluable. And besides each character being a euphemism for phallic functionality, I mean, come on, look at their noses. They represent something deeper and much more fruity. Pith and zest are essential in a proper citrus fruit. Pith is the bland left behind of the fruit that no one wants to eat, yet it plays a vital role as nutrient storage and transport. No one likes that white stringy nonsense, but it's there. Zest is the colored part of the peel. It's flavorful and used in everything, and the peel's role is to protect the fruit. But what the hell am I getting at? I'm trying to say that Squidward and SpongeBob are opposites, but they also magnify their respective differences in each other. They are pith and zest, but one fruit. Individually, they're two distinct modes of being, but represent one life, your life. And here's the gotcha of the video. I believe that rather than adopting one identity in favor of another, we instead constantly vacillate between the two, because we need both. We need Squidward to ask, what's the point? Is this sustainable? What's the next step? He provides the ambition we need to chart a course in life, and he's the marker of whether or not that course is being followed. And we also need SpongeBob to dream, to create, to believe that there's something inherently beautiful and joyous about being alive, to be grateful and appreciative of the incalculable preciousness of each and every one of our experiences. A fruit without a zest, without its peel, rots before it fully ripens. And a fruit without its pith, its fuel, clings forever to the branch, never being able to grow. You can't have one without the other and be able to say you're truly alive. And I think that's why they're so memorable to me, why their interactions with each other are so enjoyable. I remember that the premise of one episode is that Squidward successfully moves away from SpongeBob and Patrick into a neighborhood of other squids. There he lives his romanticized version of the perfect life, far from his funk-ass neighbors. And he loves it to pieces, initially. He goes on bike rides, shopping trips, he dances, he plays his clarinet. He does everything pleasurable, day in and day out, but eventually that loses its charm. That routine gives way to a monotonous hell, and it's only broken by emulating his neighbor's antics. He's using a leaf blower to cause a whole bunch of nonsense, and it's so similar to Patrick and SpongeBob at the beginning of the episode. Then there's that one episode where he's about to die in a volcano, and he says he's grateful for his and SpongeBob's friendship. SpongeBob is the same exact way. Like, there was that one time he got pissed at Squidward because he was loafing at his place jobless for a month. Or he got mad at Patrick when his fake parents came to visit and tried to put down SpongeBob to make himself look better. He reacted exactly how I'd envisioned Squidward to react in those situations. And it's just cool to see the yin and yang of it all. Within Squidward, there's a little bit of SpongeBob. And within SpongeBob, there's a little bit of Squidward. You can't have one without the other. Fuck! Absolute cinema! Anyways, you shouldn't try to be like Squidward or SpongeBob, but try to incorporate aspects from both into your life. It'll be more fulfilling and make you a more dynamic, more complete person. This is a new style of video, so let me know what you think. If you like this one, consider checking out my other video about Thaumcraft, the best Minecraft magic mod ever made. Thanks for watching. Peace.